You, Unique, for just believing in me and catching me where I was at. And Luke, he was my youth pastor, so I have a lot of love for him. All right. I just kind of wanted to feed off something that Unique had spoke about 2 weeks ago. I'm going to try not to look at my notes too much, but he had asked, is anybody in the room fighting? And everyone raised their hand. You see, we still have people raising their hand. That's awesome. But the thing is, I came in as well, and I raised my hand. And then what hit me was he said, well, most of you look like you're losing right now. And I've been thinking about that, and I've been thinking about it for the last 2 weeks. And I know there's so many of us that can fight, and they stay so hyped up. They're like, yeah, you know what, devil, hit me with whatever you got. I'm ready, you know. And then there's some of us that fight, and they're like, using everything they have. They're tired. They're wondering, like, God, where are you? Are you going to step in now? Are you going to let me know what I need to do? Like, I don't know how to continue this fight. And sometimes everyone gets there. And let me see. Okay. And what I wanted to share about was something that God's been speaking with me about. And it's really weird for me to say that because I just had a talk with Pastor Paul and his wife on Sunday. And I said, I don't know if I hear from God. But when I was actually studying to figure out what God wanted me to share, I was like, God, I've been hearing from you this whole time. And I'm just like, oh, okay. But what I wanted to share was the importance of being sensible to the season that you're in. Oh, God. Because if you're not, that is why we get to the point where we feel we're fighting and we're losing. Wow. Because when we're not sensible, we lose our stability of our season that we're in. And what it comes down to is trusting God. Is not allowing ourselves to end up on the losing side of our calling, our dream, our purpose, or whatever it is that God has you here for. Because once we start feeling unsure of where God is, we start feeling unsure of where we are, then that's when we start feeling defeated. That's when we start thinking, well, you know what? God's really not here. I'm just going to stop fighting because this is pointless. This is worthless. But feelings will deceive you. That's why he said it's not something you're trying to catch emotionally. It's something, it's seriously like a love exchange between you and God. It's not just feeling good when you're here and you're out and you forget the feeling. Yeah. And that's why when he also posts on Facebook about being in God's presence and how he just has a hunger for young adults to be in the presence of God constantly, I'm like, wow, it's just like, it's important for us to be in that presence. And including myself, because I'm not going to lie, I'm not always there, but I'm working on it. But faith is not based on what you see or what you feel. It's just knowing that God's there. Yeah. Sometimes in the middle of the fight, it feels lonely. It gets dark. It gets silent. You don't hear God sometimes. And that's when you start wondering. But silence is not always a bad thing. That's what I'm really starting to notice, because I had to talk to him one time, or Pastor Paul, and I'm asking, well, what's this? What is this? Well, what happens now? But sometimes in the silence, that's where silence speaks louder than words. And that's where you have to be conscious of what God's saying. What is he doing? Sometimes in these seasons, it's where he's preparing you. Yeah. And not only preparing you, but renewing you. Wow. These last few months that I've been trying to get connected and involved with Unique, and I'm really trying to work out my salvation and my walk with God, I've noticed that it's become a point where I feel sometimes, well, it's kind of lonely on this walk, but I feel this renewed hunger for God. I feel this renewed joy. I feel this, some things I realized that I was missing out on for so many months, but because of the fact that I was letting everything else take its place, I didn't even notice it was gone. Yeah. But our journey in living for Christ, it's always a place, it's not always going to be a place that seems so easy and so comfortable and just so joyful. Sometimes it's going to be different. Yeah. It's going to be uncomfortable. Yeah. And what Pastor Unique has shown me, it's a place where God's stretching you out. Yeah. And a lot of times during these seasons, when we start getting prepared and we start getting renewed, then that's when we can start hearing God. And that's where we should all be at, where we can constantly hear from God. But even when we're not, I just want to encourage you guys that in Psalms 9:10, it says, those who know your name will trust in you, for you, Lord, have never forsaken those who seek you. Yeah. So at times when it feels like you can't see him, you can't hear him, but he sees you. And he's with you. Yeah. You're never forsaken. And that's something that I firmly believe. I'm never forsaken. I can go through anything. And even when I wasn't looking for God, he was still looking for me. But also that comes with part of a part of spiritual maturity. It's living right no matter what you think, no matter what you feel, no matter who you are, who you've been, what you do, what you did. It's just living right, taking the step to mature yourself in your relationship with God, and He can use you wherever you're at. Because when I know, like you said, I wrote him the message and it wasn't the sweetest, but He can use you. I mean, you can come hurt, broken, you can come full of anger, and He sees you, and He already knows that that's who you are, and that's who He wants to fulfill the calling, the purpose, the dream that He has on your life. You are exactly what He's looking for, exactly what He needs. And also a few things that I've noticed in these last couple of weeks, that in ways for us to further our walk and also to fulfill the calling, the purpose, the dream that He has given you, it's by staying steadfast. It's by not allowing yourself to become moved, distracted, or worried when you don't see, all these things coming to pass. But it's also by just knowing that He's going to come through no matter what. And also realizing that you cannot become distracted because of unrealistic expectations. It's by knowing that it's okay to be thankful, to be grateful, to rejoice in the reasonable that happens. You don't always need this extreme radical in order for God to be there. All right. And just remember that the way you respond in the time of your difficult, it's going to determine the way you live the rest of your life. Because while you're so worried about what's going on, you give up. You forget that the purpose that you were fighting for, the calling you were fighting for, the dream you were fighting for, you let go. You let go of it. And once you let go of it, you lose that. Lord. So you start fulfilling it with other things. So no longer are you living the life you were called for. You live the life that you think you're supposed to be called for. Just trying to wrap it up. But also, don't allow yourself to be held back. Whenever, this is something that I constantly am with, so I'm remembering myself, I tell myself the same thing. When unresolved bitterness and conflict comes knocking at your door, don't answer it. Let it go. That's something I'm working on myself. We have to stay prepared. We have to wake up every day saying that, you know what? Tomorrow's joy is followed by today's acceptance. So I might be going through something, I might be fighting, but I'm not going to give up. I'm going to stay strong, because what I'm fighting for, God's already given me the strength to fight for it. He's already given me the calling for that life. He's already given me the anointing for that life. So I just wanted to encourage everyone, prepare yourself mentally, spiritually every day. Stay in the Word. We're not perfect, but just remember that you're never forsaken and you're never alone. God always is with you. Even when you feel a little weak, still choose to stand.
We know that show, God.